One Piece just revealed the most terrifying psychological truth about patriotism. The most loyal citizens, they're actually the easiest to manipulate and destroy. Think I'm wrong? Well, Oda just spent an entire arc proving that blind devotion makes you the perfect target for psychological warfare. And once you see how he did it, you'll spot these manipulation tactics everywhere in the real world. This isn't just anime analysis. This is a masterclass in recognizing when your own loyalty is being weaponized against you. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into what I call the Alabasta paradox. And trust me, this goes way deeper than anime analysis. We're talking about psychology, political manipulation, and a truth so uncomfortable that most people refuse to acknowledge it exists. But first, let me paint you a picture. Imagine a kingdom, beautiful, prosperous, and filled with citizens so devoted to their country that they would literally die before they'd harm it. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what makes them perfect victims. The Kingdom of Alabasta represents something that political scientists have studied for decades but rarely talk about publicly. It's what happens when patriotism becomes so pure, so unquestioning, that it transforms into the ultimate weapon against itself. Here's where it gets fascinating. King Cobra, beloved ruler of Alabasta, had created something that every leader dreams of, a population that trusted him completely. Citizens who believed, without question, that their government would never hurt them. And you know what? He deserved that trust. Cobra was genuinely good. He genuinely cared. But here's the psychological trap that nobody saw coming. When people become conditioned to never question authority, even good authority, they lose the ability to recognize when that authority has been compromised. Enter Crocodile, master manipulator, criminal genius, and the man who understood something about human psychology that most people miss entirely. He didn't need to convince the people of Alabasta to trust him. He just needed to use their existing trust against them. Think about this strategically. Crocodile's plan wasn't just clever, it was psychologically perfect. He created a drought, blamed the king, and then, here's the brilliant part, he let the people's own patriotism do the rest. Because when you've been conditioned to believe that your country can do no wrong, and suddenly something goes wrong, the cognitive dissonance is overwhelming. Your brain has to find an explanation, and if you can't question the system, you start questioning individuals within that system. But wait, here's where the psychology gets even darker. The people of Alabasta didn't just turn against Cobra, they turned against each other. Brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor, all while believing they were fighting for their country. This is what psychologists call manufactured division, and it's terrifyingly effective because it weaponizes the very loyalty that holds a society together. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but this is fiction. This couldn't happen in real life, right? Right? Let me share something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Every successful authoritarian regime in history has used this exact same playbook. They don't start by attacking patriotism, they start by redirecting it. Think about it. How do you control a population that loves their country? Simple. You convince them that loving their country means never questioning you. Crocodile understood that Alabasta's greatest strength, their unified devotion, was also their greatest vulnerability. Because people who are psychologically invested in never being wrong about their country will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid admitting they might have been wrong. But here's where Princess Vivi becomes the most important character in this entire analysis. Vivi represents something psychologists call constructive patriotism. She loved Alabasta enough to question it. She cared about her people enough to investigate when things didn't make sense. She was willing to risk being seen as a traitor because she understood that sometimes questioning your country is the most patriotic thing you can do. And that's what saved everyone. Now here's the counterargument, and it's a valid one. Maybe complete unity is necessary sometimes. Maybe questioning authority during a crisis is dangerous. After all, look what happened. Alabasta almost destroyed itself through internal conflict. Maybe blind trust, even if it's risky, is better than the chaos that comes with everyone thinking they know better than their leaders. This is the argument that Crocodile was counting on, that people would be so afraid of division, so afraid of conflict, that they'd choose unity over truth, even when that unity was fake. But here's what that argument misses, and this is crucial. The chaos in Alabasta wasn't caused by people questioning authority. It was caused by people not questioning authority. If the citizens had investigated Cobra's supposed crimes instead of just believing them, if they had demanded evidence instead of accepting accusations, the entire civil war could have been avoided. The real tragedy of Alabasta isn't that the people were too trusting. It's that they trusted the wrong things for the wrong reasons. They trusted accusations without evidence. They trusted emotions over facts. They trusted their anger more than their love for each other. But they didn't trust their own ability to think critically. They didn't trust themselves to investigate. They didn't trust that real patriotism might require difficult questions. And that is the Alabasta paradox. The very devotion that made them beautiful made them vulnerable. The very loyalty that made them strong made them weak. The very patriotism that made them unified made them divided. Because patriotism without critical thinking isn't patriotism at all. It's just obedience. And obedience can be purchased, manipulated, and redirected by anyone smart enough to understand the psychology behind it. Now, here's the resolution that most people miss, and it's hiding in plain sight throughout the entire Alabasta Arc. The solution wasn't less patriotism, it was better patriotism. Watch Vivi throughout this story. She never stops loving Alabasta. She never stops fighting for her people. But she loves them enough to question what she's told. She fights for them by seeking truth, not just accepting it. She shows us that the highest form of patriotism isn't blind obedience to authority. It's intelligent devotion to principles. It's caring enough about your country to make sure it's actually living up to what it claims to represent. The citizens who followed her example, who questioned, who investigated, who demanded evidence, they were the ones who saved Alabasta, not through blind faith, but through informed action. And that brings us to the most important question of all. So what? Why does this story matter to you today? Because right now, in our world, we're surrounded by people trying to convince us that questioning authority is unpatriotic. that demanding evidence is disloyal, that critical thinking is dangerous. We're told that good citizens don't ask difficult questions, that real patriots support their leaders unconditionally, that unity means never disagreeing. But Alabasta shows us the terrifying result of that kind of thinking. When good people stop asking questions, bad people start providing all the answers. The most patriotic thing you can do for any country, any community, any group you care about is to love it enough to question it, to care about it enough to hold it accountable, to believe in its potential enough to demand that it lives up to its promises. Because here's what Crocodile understood, and what every manipulator throughout history has understood. People who refuse to question their beliefs are people whose beliefs can be easily changed by someone else. But people who continuously examine what they believe, who demand evidence for what they're told, who love their country enough to criticize it when necessary, those people can't be manipulated. They can't be controlled. They can't be used as weapons against themselves. The citizens of Alabasta learned this lesson almost too late. They discovered that perfect patriots aren't people who never question their country. They're people who care about their country enough to never stop questioning it. And in a world full of people trying to use your loyalty against you, that might be the most important lesson of all. What do you think? Have you ever seen this kind of manipulation in real life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this opened your eyes to something new, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology hiding in plain sight. Because the truth is, when you start looking for it, it's everywhere.